Welcome back, friends. This week, which has started today, 27th of April, is a very consequential week as far as the US markets are concerned. Not only we have the Mag 7 earnings, which are going to be released this week. This will show that what will be the impact on their earnings and how the market reacts to their earnings growth. Are they still growing at the same pace? The AI related software, what are the revenues that they are getting expected? The capex on AI, all this will be studied in great detail. But not only the earnings from the Max 7, we also have the further negotiations on the US-Iran deal, which will come into focus. And probably one of the most important things is, as we look at 29th of April, which is Wednesday. On this day, we have the Fed decision coming out. The last one of the incumbent Fed chair, Jay Powell, where he's going to announce his decision of the Federal Reserve, what the members have decided. And this would be just before Kevin Walsh takes over as the new Fed chairman. This will be very important, particularly the commentary and what Jay Powell speaks at 2:30 p.m. on April 29, because another important thing that that Wall Street will be looking at is, will he be now leaving the Federal Reserve, or does he remain on the board? Because he can, although he will no longer be the Fed chair, but he can still continue to be a part of the Fed board. And he would be the second in power after Kevin Walsh. So his presence would be important. Yet, it would be important to gauge from his commentary, from the press conference, what he has decided now that he has been exonerated as far as the building and all is concerned, at least as far as the criminal investigation is concerned. All that there remains is whether there was some overspending, which would be decided. So I believe this is going to be a very important press conference, 2:30 p.m. at Eastern Time in New York, in Washington, and that will have a great repercussion impact on not only the US markets, which would be open at that time, but also the world financial markets the next day. If the Fed futures are currently factoring in 100% chance of no change in interest rates, but if there is any way that he's going to indicate that looking at inflation, other things, that they may even have to hike interest rates, that would mean the dollar would strengthen. If the dollar strengthens, then the other emerging market currencies get into trouble. And this can have an impact on Asian markets as they open on the 30th of April, Thursday. So very, very important. Not only are these Max 7 earnings, but also the commentary of Fed Chair Jay Powell of great relevance to US markets and also to international markets. And that effect will remain for some time. President Trump needs as many allies as possible. Of course, he has now Kevin Walsh as his appointee, but Miran is leaving. So therefore, if Fed Chair Jay Powell, the current Fed Chair, continues to remain on the board, then that means the number of people who are going to be voting in favor of a reduction in interest rates will be much fewer, whereas the president would like to have as many as possible. So, well, we have our predictions ready. If you'd like to know more about how the Fed Chair decision can impact markets, do WhatsApp us 982 0861044. This is for people outside the United States, and those within the United States can WhatsApp us on 732-732-2720. We give your predictions not only of this Fed decision, but also how the markets could react to the Max 7 earnings. And above all these two, when we believe the Iran-US deal can work out, because that I think will change the course of everything. It can, 10 million barrels a day are at stake in the Strait of Hormuz as they're unable to pass. Once the Strait of Hormuz is open, you find that all these will be able to pass. Reduces the price of oil. As the price of oil comes down, inflation will come down, interest rates automatically will come down, whether or not Jay Powell is still continuing to be on the board of the US Federal Reserve. Okay. So these are pretty complex calculations, and they require a great amount of judgment and data analysis that we have tried to use as iterations and see how the markets can behave in times to come. One very important piece of analysis that came today was there has been a lot of circumspection over the weekend whether the stalled US-Iran talks will ever start again. But you found that the foreign minister of Iran, Abbas Araghchi, going to Oman after his visit to Pakistan. He has had 2 visits to Pakistan. That shows that there is a sense of urgency on the part of Iran as well. Also gone to Oman and now is currently in Moscow. So he's trying to consult with all his allies. I wonder how China has been left out. That shows that there is an urgency. Now, the important thing is that he's saying, let's do it in 3 stages. Let's open the Strait of Hormuz and let's talk about nuclear later. President Trump wants to make that as a condition. So let's see who blinks first. These are among the things. From a stock market perspective purely, the opening of the Strait of Hormuz will be very, very crucial. But there seems to be exhaustion on the part of both the United States and Iran as far as continuing this war is concerned. President Trump has been very, very candid in saying that America believes that its military objectives have been achieved and he has no interest to continue this war. So all these things will have great repercussions. How President Trump now reacts to this new proposal of Iran. And we also have the visit of King Charles to United States on the occasion of the 250th anniversary. So all these things, let's see how this pan out. But more important, the Max 7 earnings. Number 2, the Fed news, the Fed press conference at 2:30 p.m. on Wednesday, Eastern Time. And of course, most importantly, how President Trump reacts to this latest proposal of Iran. To get to know more, do WhatsApp us 732-732-2720. If you like our video, please do share with your friends, WhatsApp groups, and whoever would be interested to know about the world economy and where the world stock markets are headed. Take care. Bye-bye.